Alright, hello everyone. So today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my DDD deck, Armageddon focus. So how I built this deck is intended to focus on summoning the Fusion, Synchro, and xyzs and summon the Armageddons as my main boss monsters. Unlike many other YouTubers are just like using links, a bunch of link monsters that really doesn't make it feel like a DDD deck. So I built this deck to be more anime nostalgia. So I'm mainly focusing on summoning the Fusion, Synchros, and xyzs and the Armageddons because I see those as the main boss monsters. So why not? So other than that, let's just get started with the main deck monsters, of course, that are not Pendulum. So first off, I play the 3 Swirl Slime, which has the ability to fuse from hand by using itself as with another DD card as material, and also has a second ability where you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a DD card from your hand. Both effects are very essential in your starting hand and as your first turn play, which is why you really want to play 3 of these. You want to see this card in your hand as soon as possible for the fusion summon, and then most likely you're going to use the banish effect to special summon a monster as well. So both effects are very essential in your first turn, so you really want to play 3 of these. Next, not as essential, but for a combo extension, you play Necro Slime. It does the same thing as Swirl Slime, except that this card banishes itself along with another monster from the graveyard to fusion summon, but doesn't have the additional effect. But this is just combo extension, so you don't need to run 3 of these. 2 is enough. Next, for another essential combo piece is DD Lamia, mainly because it's a level 1 tuner, and also because it could special summon itself from hand or graveyard by sending 1 Dark Contract, which are continuous spells and traps, or a DD card, which you're most likely not going to do, to the graveyard to special summon this, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that special summon effect is just combo extension right there. It's considered key in for many DDD plays. So you really want to see this as soon as possible as well. And then for the last of the essential non-pendulums, I play DD Ghosts. This card, I play this mainly because it's a level 2 tuner, which is mainly the reason why I run this card. But it does have the Foolish Burial effect. When it's sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 DD card that is already in your graveyard and send another copy from your deck. And also, it's a target for many of your effects too. When this card is banished, you can send 1 of your banished cards back to the graveyard. So it's either DD or Dark Contract, by the way. But yeah, it's mainly a level 2 tuner, which is the main reason why I run 2 of this. But it also has the Foolish Burial effect, which is also quite helpful. But there are many times I haven't been able to use it. Next, I run 1 tech card, DD Nihal. So why I run this card is mainly because it's an instant extra deck play. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 DD card from your graveyard. Yeah, that's like an instant extra deck play right there. And it's a level 3 tuner, which you do run level 7, so you can go for level 10s with this too. So if you just happen to draw this card as like, while you have no cards in hand, you can just go for instant extra deck play. This is an instant Gilgamesh right here. And if you run Bahamut or Baphomet, you can also go for level 8s or rank 4 if you want. So that's it for the non-pendulums. Now to the essential pendulum cards. First off, you run the Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. And this is a DDD. So, its pendulum effect. When a DD monster is special summoned, you can special summon 1 from the graveyard. That's already essential right there. The pendulum effect right there is already very essential. But even the main effect is also very essential, because when this card is normal special summon, you can special summon 1 DD monster from your graveyard. And if you want, you can tribute 1 DD monster and banish 1 of your opponent's monsters. if you want. But you're mostly using this for the special summon effects, which is why this card is very essential. In many cases, this card can be well, this card is mostly your Swirl Slime target, but this card is also an instant rank 8 in many cases. And you mainly use this with Swirl Slime a lot. And then next, you play the 3 DD Summon Kepler, which is Pendulum effect. Don't care about it because it decreases its scale by 2 every of your standby phase. So, I sometimes use its Pendulum scale of 10. But you play this for the main monster effect, where when this card is no more special summon, you can play one of these 2 effects. But you mainly want to use the one where it searches a dark contract from your deck to your hand. The other one just returns 1 DD card on the field to your hand. So that search is very essential because the dark contracts are pretty much your essential key pieces to get your combos to continue. Which is why I run 3 of these. And there's also the reason that you need to search your dark contract searcher for DDDs. So that's the other reason why you want to run 3 of these, because you want to get that searcher as soon as possible as well. And then, to me, then this next one is not as essential, but it's DD Solvent Copernicus. So Pendulum effect, you can negate the effect of spell effect damage and then destroy this card. That's really what it does for Pendulum effect. But to many people, the essential effect is when this card is no more special summon, you can Foolish Burial one of your DD or Dark Contracts from your deck. Which, yeah, it's pretty good, but I barely ever use that effect. So you don't really need to run 3. To me, 2 is enough, but I barely ever use that as Foolish Burial effect. I barely even summon this too, but I do see the essential part of it. And then next, I run 2 DD Summon Thomas. You don't need to run 3. You can run just 2 is fine. So the Pendulum effect lets you recycle 1 face-up Pendulum card from your extra deck. That's pretty good right there. But also the main monster effect is also pretty good, where you could destroy one of your Pendulum Zone cards and special summon 1 level 8 DDD monster. And of course, that will give you a rank 8 play right there, which is why this card is actually not too bad for extension. But so both effects are okay, but this is not the most essential, it's just good. And now for the Gilgamesh target, I run Savant Newton as one of them. Mainly because of scale 10, it has the same effect as Copernicus, except this one works for traps. But I use it for a scale 10, but it also has a good, decent main monster ability where you could discard this card and recycle one of your DD or Dark Contracts from your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So it's useful, but I mainly use this for a scale of 10. And for my other Gilgamesh target, I run the Chaos King Apocalypse, mainly because of the Pendulum effect, where you could you could banish 2 DD monsters from your graveyard to special summon this. The main monster effect is that during your opponent's turn, you can destroy 2 face-up spell and trap cards you control. This includes your Pendulum cards, and special summon this card from your hand, but you don't really use that effect anyway. In some cases you might, but I use this mainly for the special summon effect of the Pendulum Zone. So, and it just becomes a beat stick. But you don't really need to run this, but I think it's an okay card for extending, and it just gives you another monster with Gilgamesh. And then for 1 tech card for beat stick purposes, I run Destiny King Zero Laplace. So Pendulum effect, same thing as Thomas, except it only works for DDDs. This one still works with DD. But the main monster effect is that you could special summon this card from your hand by tributing 1 DDD monster. It has a question mark attack, so it will be for the next effect, where when this card attacks the opponent's monster before damage calculation, this card becomes the same attack as that monster times 2. So it just pretty much beats down anything. And the first time this card will be destroyed by battle, this card will not be destroyed and you take no damage. And it also does piercing damage too. So this card can beat over a lot of stuff. Especially those really high attack point monsters. the highest that you can really go to is like 6,000 with Alexander. So if there's anything like that will go higher than Alexander, well, you got this as a backup too. And this card can be done a lot of stuff. And it's decent protection too. So why not? And then because I can't consider this a DDD deck without running the main rival's ace monster, DDD Doom King Armageddon. It's a 3,000 attack one beat stick mainly. But Pendulum Effect gives 800 attack points to one of your monsters. Bane Monster Effect, when one of your monsters are destroyed, you can have this card gain attack until the end of the turn, but it cannot attack directly during the turn that you use the effect. And it cannot be destroyed by spells or traps that do not target. So yeah, I know this card is not the best card, but one, this card is... I'm just running this as an excuse to use Thomas's effect for one, and two, anime nostalgia, so I'm just running this card for the heck of it. So that's it for the monsters, and now to the spells and spells. I run Dark Contract of the Gates. This is your DD card searcher, and you can only use the effect once per turn, and all your Dark Contracts has some penalty during each standby phase. In this case, you take 1,000 points of damage. Same thing with the next card, where it's also 1,000 points of damage every standby phase. But this one lets you fuse cards from your hand and field, or banish monsters from your graveyard as material for fusion summon. So this card is considered essential, but I see many players play one, but I play two because I do play Desires and I don't want one of them to get banished. So you should run two just in case. And the fusion summon is for combo extension, but you don't need to see that as soon as possible. Next, for consistency purposes, and I don't like this card, War Arf though. So if you control a level 1 monster, you could add one level 1 monster from your deck to your hand. But if you did not normal summon it that turn, you take 2,000 damage. And that's the main reason why I don't like this card. Is mainly because you're going to take the burn damage, and you're most likely going to take it because you're probably going to normal summon during that turn anyway. But for consistency purposes, you do want to see your level 1 essentials as soon as possible, mainly Lamia, and sometimes even Kepler as well. So yeah, consistency. And speaking of level 1s, I run the 1 for 1, because those level 1s are quite essential. And because your whole main deck is dark, Allure of Darkness, and like I said earlier, I play the Pot of Desires because this deck has the issue of consistency, and you want specific combo pieces in your hand as soon as possible. So you do want to run the Desires just to try to get it. And then, because there's graveyard effects, of course, the Foolish Burial. Next, for the traps, I run Dark Contract of the Witch, which has the ability to... You can send one DD or Dark Contract from your hand to the graveyard to destroy one card on the field. That can disrupt plays. But also, all Fiend-type monsters you control gains 1,000 attack points during your opponent's turn. And of course, there's a 1,000 damage penalty every standby phase. So this card is just decent for plays, and it kind of turns all your monsters into bigger beat sticks, so why not? And then for one of my favorite tech cards, I run Dark Contract of the Witch, which of course has a penalty, and if you control 2 DD cards in your Pendulum Scales, your opponent cannot target their monsters with spells or traps, cannot tribute them, or use them for any synchros, fusions, or exceeds. Yeah, that's the main reason why I run this card, because this card can disrupt plays, especially and how many people are going back with the new Master Rule 4 revision. Many people are going to be going back to summoning fusion, synchros, and exceeds and spamming them, and most likely using Links as engine, so why not? This is a decent tech card to use to disrupt it. And now to the extra deck. For the essential fusion monsters first, I run the 2 Flame King Temujin. I will call it Temujin most likely. So this is usually the very first fusion monster that you're going to summon in your DDD deck. So its effect is that when another DD monster is special summoned, you can special summon another one from your graveyard. That's the main reason why, that you really want to get this as soon as possible. And sometimes you can summon the second one, and sometimes you can't summon it back from the graveyard, so you do want the second one just in case. And this also has the ability when destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can return one dark contract from your graveyard to your hand. But you mainly focus on the special summon effect because that's the combo extension right there. And now to Joan of Arc, which pretty much all your effect damage is gained as your life points instead, which can counter the 1-ARF though as well. So, and it's level 7, 28. So when there's cases where like you don't really have a good hand, you can just fusions and you can't really do your combos. You just fusion summon this and it's just a big beat stick. So why not? And then to the other pretty much essential combo extension, Flame High King Executive Temjin. It has the same special summon effect of the original, except that this one also works with normal summons as well. So that's, and it's a level 8, so that's of course the other essential one. But it also has the additional effect is that when a spell or trap, or the effect of a spell or trap activates, you can negate it. You can negate the activation of it. I'm thinking of Siegfried for some reason. But yeah, you can negate a spell or trap once per turn, or the effect of one. But I mainly use this for the special summon effect, so... But this is just combo extension, so not really considered as key piece as much. And for my final fusion monster, I run the purplish Armageddon. So Pendulum effect, when a fusion monster battles an opponent's monster, your opponent's monster loses 1,000 attack. So your fusion monsters are kind of essential. Most likely you will have this on the field, or sometimes even this. So most likely you will be able to activate that effect. And then for the main monster effect is that you could destroy one of your opponent's monsters once per turn and your opponent takes damage equal to half its attack. So that's not too bad. And then when this card battles an opponent's monster with more than its original attack, you can force it back to its original attack. So any boosting effect is useless. And of course it also has the, since this is a pendulum fusion, when this card is destroyed, it goes to the pendulum zone. So not too bad. And this card is not too hard to summon, especially with Dark Contract of the Swamp King. Next for the synchros, for these combo extension, not as essential as Temjin, but Gus King Alexander. So when a DD card is normal or special summon, you can special summon one level 4 or lower DD card from your graveyard. And of course this effect can only be used once per turn, just like the Temjins, which I forgot to mention. So this is just combo extension, really. And because this is a level 7, you can also go for Crystal Wing with Lamia with this. But this is not really as essential as Temjin is, especially when it's restricted to level 4 or lower. And then next, you run the Siegfried, which has the ability to negate one face-up spell and trap per turn until the next standby phase. And that next standby phase effect is very essential because you can... What ends up happening is that you can sometimes, where if you're facing burn damage or something, during like your turn, you start your turn and you're going to be taking 1,000 damage. You could use Siegfried and negate that burn damage right there, because it's still the end of the standby phase, so you negated that burn damage. And then when this card is destroyed, you gain 1,000 life points for every dark contract you control, which most likely you're not going to have that many by that point, because you're going to be sending them to the graveyard. But the negate effect is very good, and this card is not hard to summon with this deck. And then next, I run the Gus High King Executive Alexander. It has a generic summoning condition, just remember that. So, its effect is that if you control 3 DDD monsters on the field, its attack points are doubled. So, it's already a big beat stick, but it also has, just like Executive Temjin, when a DD card is no more special summon, you can special summon another DD monster from your graveyard. And of course the effect can only be used once per turn. So this card can be combo extension and also be a big beat stick. But I know why many people don't run this is mainly because it's a level 10, so you can't really do anything with a level 10 most of the time. But the big beat stick part can be very helpful, which is why I do run it. And also because I want all 3 big executive monsters on my deck, so why not? And for my last of my synchros, DD synchros, I run the xyzs Armageddon. Pendulum effect. If your opponent declares an attack, you can target one synchro monsters you control, and all your opponent's monsters will be will be destroyed, equal or less than the synchro monsters of your synchro monster of your chosen's defense, and they take 1,000 damage for each. You're gonna be summoning these synchros are mainly going to be on the field anyway, so you're probably not going to have a hard time activating that effect. So it's pretty much kind of like a mirror force, pseudo mirror force. But okay, for the main monster effect, your monsters cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Yeah, it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. So it gives out all your monsters protection. So that's already good. And then the second effect, where it's not really essential, when a monster is summoned, your opponent chooses a monster on their field, chooses a pendulum monster on their field, which many people are not really playing pendulum, negate all other of their monster effects other than that monster choosing. And yes, your opponent must have a pendulum monster for this to be active. And also has the destroyed equals to the pendulum zone effect. But I mean, this card is an anti-pendulum card, so why not? But the main reason why I run this card is for the pendulum effect and the protection effect, and also because anime nostalgia, I want all 3 Armageddons. And then next for the xyzs, I'll run the Wave High King Caesar. Yeah, I don't have the rank 4 xyzs for this deck because that one's bad. So it's a rank 6, so that's another reason why you should run the 2 Temjins. So this card has a solemn effect where when a spell, trap, or monster effect has a special summon effect, you can detach a material to negate it. And this card, along with another DD card you control, gets 1800 attack. And when this card is sent to the graveyard, you could add a 1 dark contract from your deck to your hand. So this has a solemn effect, which is actually pretty good. And many card effects special summon too. So the effect will be usable, and it becomes a big beat stick because of it. The only things that it doesn't stop is the effects that summon itself. But this card can counter a lot of stuff. Next, Dawn Dawn King Kali Yuga. So, Kali Yuga, when summoned, your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects on the field for the rest of the turn, and also, all effects face up on the field are negated for the rest of the turn. So when xyzs summon, it pretty much makes it like an Ultimate Falcon effect, although this card came out before Ultimate Falcon, so your opponent cannot activate anything and have all their effects on the field already negated for the rest of the turn. So that's already good right there, and I do use the effects quite often, actually. And then for the second effect, detach a material, heavy storm the field. Yeah, that's good right there, especially when you have a bunch of dark contracts that are going to burn you. Third effect, detach a material, return 1 dark contract from your graveyard, and set it. Yeah, you could recycle one of your dark contracts as well. Most likely Gates, sometimes Swap King. That's no reason why not to run this. And it's 35 attack too, so it beats down a lot of stuff. And then for my final XC monster, of course I run the Darkness Armageddon. Pendulum effect, kind of useful. If you control another DD card in your Pendulum zone, you could special summon 1 DD Exceed monster from your extra deck. And no, it doesn't count as Exceed summon. So sometimes what I do is, this card can be the effect can be helpful. So sometimes what I do is summon Caesar, and then just use Caesar as a target for a Swamp King, or maybe I tribute for La Place, and then use Caesar's effect so I could search for the dark contract I want. That's just sometimes what I do. And it can be helpful if you have like nothing else to do and you're just kind of forced to summon something. You could just summon a big beat stick. So it can be helpful. Main monster effect, pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. So not only it gives itself protection, but all the pendulum monsters you control as well that cannot be destroyed by card effects. It's quite good right there. And then when this card is Exceed Summon, you can target 1 pendulum monster from your extra deck, face up in your extra deck, and put it as material, which you're not going to do anyway. And then the third effect, which I'm kind of bummed about, is that you can detach one material and destroy monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of pendulum monsters you control. It has to be exactly that amount, which can be frustrating. I wish it's equal or less, so you won't have this issue. But it can clear fields, so it does have its uses, and of course it has the when destroyed, it goes to the pendulum zone effect. But to me, I think this one has the best protection. And is medium usefulness. And xyzs Armageddon is probably the worst one and least usefulness, but has probably the best, well, kind of the best protection actually for this one, and this one has the second best. And then this one has the most usefulness and easiest to summon. That's how I rank it. And now to my link for the new card, I play DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh, which when this card is special summoned, you can put 2 cards from your deck to the pendulum zone, and you take 1,000 damage, and you cannot summon anything but DD monsters for the rest of the turn. So this card pretty much can combo play with your pendulum monsters, so you could just like use your pendulum monsters as material, and then you set 2 scales, which is why I run the Savant Newton, because scale 10. And then just do a pendulum summon to its link arrows, and then you got 2 more monsters right there. And then it also has the effect when this card is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon 1 DDD monster from your extra deck or from the graveyard in defense. So, but I mainly use this for the pendulum scale effect. Although I would run more of these if Master Rule 4 revision didn't happen. But yay, Master Rule 4 revision did happen, so now I can spam my other DDD monsters. And now for the last of my monsters, I run the Crystal Wing and the Meteor Burst Dragon. And obviously Meteor Burst because I put cards in my pendulum zone, so this card is going to be quite helpful. I was thinking about trading this for Needle Fiber, but the thing is I don't run a synchro tuner, so there's really no point for that. The only usefulness for me to run Needle Fiber is mainly for the special summoning a tuner effect when it's link summoned. But other than that, we're not in Master Rule 4 anymore. We're in the revision of Master Rule 4. So we're not restricted to the summoning to extra monster zone or link arrows for this format. And just because I can, I'm going to be showing this quick combo segment right here on summoning all 3 Armageddons in 1 turn. So first off, what you need is exactly these 2 must be in your hand, and 3 out of 4 of these have to be in your hand right in the beginning if you're doing this on first turn. So obviously the Dark Contract of the Gates is to search out your 4th combo piece monster. So, and you are going to need so the monsters that you need exactly are Swirl Slime, Ghost, Oblivion King Ragnarok, and Lamia. And of course the Dark Contract of the Gate, because then if you're trying to do this first turn, you're going to need to search out the 4th monster, and the Swamp King for the fusion summon of your Dark Purplish Armageddon. So what you do is, you would play Dark Contract of the Gate, and get your 4th monster combo piece. And now you would fuse Swirl Slime with DD Ghost by using Swirl Slime's effect to fusion summon your Temujin, and because DD Ghost activates, you send a copy of Swirl Slime to the graveyard, and now you would normal summon your Lamia, and then you tune Lamia with your Temujin and synchro summon your Alexander. And now you would banish the Swirl Slime in your graveyard to summon Abyss King Ragnarok. And then with Abyss King Ragnarok's effect, you would special summon the Temujin. And with Alexander's effect, you would summon back the ghosts. And now you will, let's see, you will send Dark Contract of the Gates to the graveyard and summon back your Lamia. So now you could tune Lamia with Alexander for Siegfried. And then you would tune the DD Ghost, and yes, it must be Siegfried, to summon your Whitest Armageddon. And then you would use Temujin's effect to summon back your Siegfried, and so you could overlay it with the Ragnarok to summon your Darkness Armageddon. And because your last card, your Swamp King, you can fuse your Temujin along with your Alexander to summon your my Purplish Armageddon. So that's how you get all 3 Armageddons on the field. And this is at least a specific way how I found it. There's probably other ways, but this is just a 5-card starting hand combo that I just found that you could get all 3 Armageddons on the field. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's quite long because DDDs have a lot of explaining to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this DDD Armageddon deck profile. I know it's quite long because DDDs have a lot of specific stuff that you're going to need to know. So hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully I do Dark Lords next. And I do DDDs because I love the deck with Fusion, Synchros, and xyzs.